Welcome back to the Aussie Shed, ladies and gentlemen, for another episode of Project Fairlady. So I'm currently trying to sort out the TwinZ Type 1, I think it is, rear spoiler that I have for this. Previously I've done a lot of work getting the thing ready for paint, getting it nice and flat, nice and smooth, getting the fit up just right, grinding away a lot of the fiberglass on the inside in quite a few places just to get it sitting down as best as I can and how I want it and where I want it. And now I'm faced with another problem here. The TwinZ spoiler sits kind of back a little bit off the back of the hatch there, and the issue for me particularly here is this being a turbo vehicle had a rear spoiler on it. Now that that's gone, I'm left with this big hole in the middle and these other various little small holes. Now obviously they need to be closed up because you will suck exhaust fumes into the back of the car if you don't close that up, mainly because the TwinZ spoiler doesn't actually seal up against the body at the back like the factory spoiler does. You've actually got a 20mm gap underneath, and basically what that means is air can be drawn straight through into that hole. Now that hole is there for models without a spoiler. They have a panel that sits in across there, and there's a brake light mounted in that spot. As I say, this is not one of those cars, it normally has a spoiler on there, so we need to block that up. I guess if you had a vehicle that had the panel across the back with a brake light in it, this isn't something that you would have to be too concerned about. However, if you are going to be running a brake light in your TwinZ spoiler, which most of them do, you'll need a way to get your wiring through into the passenger compartment of the vehicle that's not going to leak fumes, and also be accessible in such a way that if anything goes wrong with your LED brake light, which I have heard that these can be quite a little bit problematic, it's relatively easy to change it out once it's installed, due to the fact that these rear spoilers are held on with urethane. So once it's on, and unless you've got a way to feed new wiring through for your brake light, all that sort of stuff, you're really in a bit of a predicament. As I say, there's a 20mm gap along the back which can be helpful, which I'll go into shortly, but at the moment I'm just going to show you how I've approached filling in this hole across here. Initially I thought, I might just make up a piece out of some ABS, just cut it out and put it in across there. You can buy a panel, but like a genuine panel from Nissan, but they're very, very expensive. They're hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and to me that just seems absolutely ridiculous for something that's going to be buried underneath a spoiler that you won't see. So I decided, no, bugger it, I'm just going to put a piece over that hole with a grommet in it, so that I can use that to feed wires through. The holes on the end here, they don't actually go through into the passenger compartment. They're this side of the seal, so realistically nothing really needs to happen with those. And there is just this one here to the left hand side of what would be a brake light there, that goes through into the second skin of the hatch, which actually leads into the passenger compartment. So that has to be filled. Again, this one doesn't, and we've got to sort this out here. Another complication for me personally is I'm putting a reverse camera underneath my spoiler, so I need to be able to get the wires through from a reverse camera, which can be a little bit bulky, into the cab as well. So let's have a bit of a look at what I've sorted out. So this is the cover plate that I've made up, guys. It's just from a piece of stainless that I had kicking around. I just went ratting around in the shed to find something that I could cover this up with. Look, it could be a piece of plastic, a piece of whatever, something with a bit of body to it though. I think in the TwinZ instructions they talk about putting a piece of tape over it. Now, tape in an area that's not accessible to me is quite a big no-no. It really needs to be something that you can fix on properly and seal properly. As I say, it can really be anything as long as you can just attach it and work out a way for it to seal properly. So what I've done here, I've drilled two holes, one here, same with this. This will mount on there like so, and I will put some urethane on the back of it before I attach it. Basically you could use anything, ideally probably something like windscreen sealant, would be better because it'll stay soft and you will be able to remove it a lot more easier if you ever need to. I don't feel I'll ever need to remove this, and I don't currently have any windscreen sealant, but I do have heaps of urethane. So urethane it is. And yeah, so this is the hole that I have here for the grommet. And this is the grommet that I'm using here. It's a blanking grommet. Now I actually like blanking grommets because differently to a normal grommet that just has a pre-made hole in the middle, and you can get a lot of slack around it when you're running wires depending on what you're trying to run through there. Blanking grommets just have this thin sort of section through the center. So what I've done is I've hit that with a punch that cuts out holes. I've made that small hole and then I've put some slits in it so it will expand. Because as I say, I have to push something quite large through this, but I also want it to close up back to small once all the wires are through. So that's my choice of grommet that I've got in there. And that guy will just go nicely into here, like so. Could turn it either way. I'll turn it this way because it'll be easier to find the hole to feed wires in through this side where there's really no access. And that guy will then go on there like that. Now the reason I've chosen this position to put the thing is there's a big square hole right behind it, which gives you the best access that you can have to it from inside the passenger compartment. In the center it's all sort of solid paneling with a bit of a bracket behind here that strengthens up your lock mechanism. So ideally you want the hole where you've got the most access for it, as I say, and that is there. And for this hole over here, I've just got a stainless button head bolt M6 with an M6 mudguard washer. I generally tend to use mudguard washers on most of the bolts on cars, just because an M6 washer is only slightly bigger than the head of an M6 bolt, whereas if you go to mudguard washers you have quite a large area around the outside that you can use to seal things. So that easily sort of does that hole there. I'll put another washer on the back of it with an eye-lock nut, and I might even put a little bit of blob of urethane on the back of it before I put it in. So the combination of that and that sorts all the air hole leakage into the cab, gives me a nice place where I can get wires through from the spoiler, which hopefully will seal up really well. Alright, I'll get some urethane on the back of this, and it's time to sort of permanently fix it in position. Alright, so now that that's sorted, we come to the second problem. And the second problem is that there is a gap of about 25mm between the TwinZ spoiler and this section here. And what that also means is the TwinZ spoiler is only attached via urethane across the top and along the sides. So the whole back of the spoiler is basically flapping in the breeze, even though it's fairly solid and does stay there quite well. But the problem is you you tend to want to lift the hatch by the spoiler, and there's absolutely nothing holding the back of the spoilers. So basically the only thing that's stopping the upward push on the spoiler is the urethane adhesive on the sides here. And like I say, you can just kind of push it along. Plus there's a big gap under there anyway. Now, I don't know what it's like in a lot of other countries, but in Australia we have lots of spiders. And some of them are pretty nasty, but then some of them are alright. But spiders are very keen to make their home in your vehicle here in good old Oz. Now, that gap up there, that's the perfect home for a spider in my opinion. Particularly the notorious huntsman spiders. Now, huntsmans won't kill you or anything, but they're fucking huge and they scare the shit out of you. They're responsible for many accidents in Australia, from people leaving the window in their car down overnight. And then these bloody big hairy spiders come out when you're driving your car to work the next day and go running across the friggin' screen or run up your leg or something, you know, and yeah. And you can imagine how that ends up. Anyway, I don't want them. Obviously they can't get inside the vehicle from here because of what we've just done there. But they can certainly make a home in there and come out and scare the shit out of you when you're washing the car, or when you're opening the hatch or anything like that. So the ideal thing to do would be to fill in this section between here, and also use that as a way to tie this face here of the spoiler back to the hatch lid, so that the back of the hatch is actually got all its strength back like the original. As you know, the original is attached in all these places, and the back of it is really solid. I think that's a real letdown on as far as TwinZ goes with their stuff. A lot of things like this haven't been really thought out. Like, they look good, their designs are really awesome, the fit up's pretty good, but things like this really suck. They should have addressed that long ago. You know, it really is an issue. So let's have a look at my spoiler here and I'll show you what I've done to it. So this is what we have, guys. All the way around the bottom there, I have fiberglassed on little tabs. Now, what they are, they're this guy here. So the little 3-hole face, that mounts against there, and then that hole on the bottom is perfect to put a speed nut. So these actually fit perfectly on there. I'll just get one on, like so. If I can bloody push it on. Right, so you see that speed nut. So now we can bolt through. So how I did these pieces, I just made them up out of a bit of, I think they're 1.6 aluminium. I just cut strips 20mm long or 22mm long, and then bent them up and just chopped them off, drilled the holes in them. And then I bent them to, I worked out the angle. They're bent slightly over 90, just so that it works better with how it goes back to the boot lid. So they were held on with urethane, so I just put a double urethane under them, pushed them all on, cleaned them up, let the urethane go off, and then I fiberglassed over the top of them. So that's just 2 layers of chopped strand mat with a epoxy resin. Now they're very, very strong. You won't be pulling those off any time soon. You know, they possibly would have been okay just with the urethane, but a few strips of fiberglass over the top, it's, you know, very easy to do. So what that'll do, that'll give me something that I can fix back to with another bracket attached to the hatch lid, which I'll show you shortly. And it means that I've got something where I can screw up a cover piece all the way along right under this. All right, we'll go and pop this on and have a bit of a look at it, eh? Right, that's not sitting on there super good. Obviously just held on with a couple of bits of masking tape, but you get the idea. So, as I say, I can very easily fit my fingers up in here. Even my big fat thumb can probably fit up in there. So yeah, that's quite a gap. So if we'll just open the hatch up here a little bit. We'll have a look underneath. So that is what we have there, guys. You can see the way that is, and as I say, without doing something like that, this here just floats around. That's, you know, how it's designed by TwinZ to be. And as far as I'm concerned, that is pretty crap. So what I'm about to do now is I'm going to make some tabs that come back off the hatch here and then go out to these. So I can, and I'll just, you know, rivet or rivet and probably urethane a couple of metal tabs onto the back of the hatch and have them come out underneath these tabs here, so that when a bolt goes through, it ties the two together. I've got at least 2 spots here where I can do that, and I can possibly sort out even more of them. It just depends on you know, what there is to fix to up in here for other tabs. I did try to space these tabs in a way that gave me stuff to fix to, but it is a little bit tricky. I know I've definitely got two though. This one and this one. There's 2 flat areas on the back of the hatch, just beside where that cover plate panel was. So what I'm going to do is probably just cut a piece of aluminium through here, maybe with some rubber edging on either side of it. And as I say, I've got speed nuts like this guy that go up on here. So when this rear spoiler is all urethaned in position, then that cover piece can be just put on, screwed up, Bob's your uncle, and it can be taken on and off for access and a little bit of pokey to help feed wires through this rubber grommet that we've got in here that's going to you know, take our wiring. So that's the stage that I'm up to, guys. I'm about to embark on some tabs on the back of the hatch and making up the cover strip. So I'll get back to you when there's a little bit more of that done. Alright, see you shortly. So that's our brackets mounted on the hatch there now. So you can see we've got 4 that actually tie the spoiler back, but there's a total of 9, and all the rest of them just keep the center cover piece that we'll be making up held up nice and tight in position. Not hard to do, guys, not hard. Alrighty, and that's pretty much that there, guys. You can see we've got all our tabs all bolted through now. We've got the fixings on either end and the fixings either side of the center that tie the spoiler and the back of the hatch together. So that's all very nicely tied in and very firm. Plus we have these extra tabs all the way through here. So all I have to do is you know, cut out a piece of aluminium, paint it black or whatever, and have that as a removable panel in there, just to give me access to the wiring and keep the goddamn spiders out of there. Alright, that's pretty much sorted. Alright guys, well that's about it for today. Fairlady's getting pretty sorted. Glass is about to come out. And I guess I'll turn the camera back on after that happens. So, as always guys, thanks for stopping by. Bloody pleasure to have you here. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. And as always guys, I'll bloody well see you on the next one. Cheers.